want to fill this out as you go along. How do we do it? We have to notice how Jesus actually balanced his life. How did he manage the busyness of his life? And the first thing I want us to notice, and sometimes I leave this to the end, but I think this is so important, it's got to be number one. First thing is this: ask God for help. If you are having trouble managing the pace of your life, ask God for help. We see actually after his longest day, Mark 1:35, Jesus get up while it's still dark. That's actually the passage. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, went off to a solitary place where he prayed. It was almost as if he was saying, God, I know if I'm going to have another day like the one I had yesterday, I need your strength. I need your power. I need your input. We all live busy, fast-paced lives in a very stressful world, and we need God's power to make it through each day. And I'm learning that more and more all the time. I was always a pretty laid-back guy, but I'm learning this more and more all the time. How is it that I get, when I manage life, having asked God for help in the midst of it all? I remember reading a story about William Booth. And he was 19 years old and he wanted to be a minister. And his Sunday school teacher encouraged him. He said, that's a good idea. You should do that. And but in his teenage years, he was he became sick and a little bit frail. And his doctor says, I don't think the strain of ministry would be good for your health. I don't think you should do it. And maybe you should find another profession. But Booth prayed about it. And he said, Lord, this is something I really want to do. Give me the strength to be the best minister I can be. And so he decided to go against the advice of the doctor. And he became a Methodist minister. And a little bit after that, in the midst of his ministry, he started up what we now know as Salvation Army. He was the founder of the Salvation Army. And he lived to be 83 years old. And it goes to show that nothing is impossible with God when you ask him for the strength to carry on. So if you are finding yourself that you're not managing to pace your life very well, first place to go, not the last place to go, first thing that we should do is ask God for help. The second thing that we need to do, and I know this is really one that is tough for a lot of people, we have to learn how to say no. You have to learn how to say no. If you're one of those people that have a very hard time saying no, and you know who you are, practice it. Stand in front of the mirror and say, no, I can't do that. No, I'm sorry, I can't. No, I wish I could. I just don't have the time. You got to practice it. Because you know what will happen? You're going to say, I'm not going to say, I'm too busy, I can't put on anything else on my plate. Someone comes up to you and says, oh, would you do this? And you say, oh, yeah, no problem. And then you walk away and you go, oh, I have no time for this. Why did I do that? And you know what you do? You become angry. And you become resentful. And sometimes in that anger, that we maybe not yell at people, but we start putting things off. We start saying, oh, I forgot all about that. I am so sorry. Technically, you're not sorry. You did it on purpose. You didn't want to do this in the first place, so you start procrastinating, you start putting things off, and then you go, oh, darn, was that today? I am so sorry. You know? But it's just really a mechanism that we have to express our anger. Learn how to say no. Look what Jesus did. He did that. He knew how to say no. The disciples come to him. Later, Simon and the others went out to find him. Jesus off by himself. When they found him, they said, everyone is looking for you. But Jesus replied, we must go to another town as well and preach to them too. That is why I came. What is Jesus saying here? What the disciples want is saying, Jesus, this is the greatest thing ever. We went to the synagogue. You did this, your stuff at the synagogue. We went to the house. Everybody came to the house. We don't have to go anywhere. If we just stay at the house and we set it up really, really nice, people will come to us. You know, they will flock in from everywhere to see us. You know, this is the greatest thing ever. What they wanted to do was set up a really nice church. They wanted to have a church that everybody came to them. Let's put up the building and everybody will come to church. And Jesus says, it doesn't work that way, guys. I have come not for people to come to me, but for me to go to the people. No, we can't do this. I'm sorry, guys, it doesn't matter how much you think this is a good idea. The answer is no. He had put it right online. The answer is that God's will for Jesus was to branch out and to preach in other villages. In order to be faithful to God's plan for his life, Jesus had to turn down opportunities that would have led him in other directions. This means that sometimes saying yes to God means saying no to people. Sometimes saying yes to God means saying no to people. So before you make commitments, you need to ask yourself, is this an opportunity that's using the best of my time? If I put my energy into this, is this the best use of the time that I have? And if it isn't, don't do it. I'm sorry, I can't. If it's not something, if that particular project's not going to help you achieve a larger goal in life, I'm sorry, I can't do it. I don't have the time. Or if it's merely an attractive distraction along the way, this is where I get it. I know that there are certain things. I'm in the midst of writing this book, and it's this for my thesis, and it's a lot of hard work. And in the midst of it, I go, you know what? I would rather be doing anything else at this moment. And so it's good stuff. It's stuff that I need to do, and I will do that rather than do the stuff I know that I should be doing. I let the good get in the way of the best. And God says we can't do that. We have to learn how to say no. We need to say no. I was reading a story about Pavarotti. And there was a time in his life when he wasn't sure if he was going to be an opera singer or a music teacher. And he went to his dad and he says, "Dad, shall I become a teacher or a singer?" And his father replied, "Son, if you try to sit on two chairs, you will fall between them. For life, you must choose one chair." So Pavarotti went on to say this, "I took my father's advice and I chose one chair. It took me 7 years of study and frustration before I made my first professional appearance. And it took me another 7 years to reach a Metropolitan Opera. And now, I think whether it's laying bricks, writing a book, whatever we choose, we should give ourselves to it. Commitment," he says,